r/malicious compliance. Stand right there. So this happened a few years ago when I was working a low-pay retail job. The job itself sucked, but the people were great, which is why most of us hadn't left instantly on arrival. The people were great, except for one. We shall call her Lucifer, because her name is similar and it's an apt description. No one liked Lucifer. She had issues with almost every member of staff, but as she was a member of management and friends with those above her, she got away with almost everything. On the fateful day in question, it was pretty quiet. A few customers had been in for a look, but not much more. Only a few people in the store had specific jobs that would require their full attention, but past that, it was do what needed to be done style. So as it was quiet, I started doing basic cleaning jobs and restocking the shelves, as we were meant to do. This was not good enough for Lucifer. Lucifer, what do you think you are doing? Me, restocking the shelves. Lucifer, and if a customer came in right now and didn't see anyone in the tills, do you think that would look good? I would like to point out that we have never had someone assigned to the tills, as long as there is someone near them, so they can serve customers when it's necessary, that's fine. Also there were people near the tills in this situation. Me, would you like me to go behind the counter then? Lucifer, good, you're starting to catch on. I don't take well to being spoken to like that, but a job's a job, and I pushed my anger down and went to stand by the tills. After 5/10 minutes of standing doing nothing, generally there are only 5/6 people working, so having someone standing doing nothing really affects the work efficiency. I started doing other small jobs, making sure to not stray more than 10 steps from the till. At one point, another member of management notices I've not got a great deal to do and asks me to start cleaning some of the stock. I oblige, again making sure I don't go too far away from the tills in case a customer walks in. This is not good enough for Lucifer. She storms out from the manager's room, looks at me, and stomps her way over. She then looked me dead in the eye, poked me in the chest and shouted, "You tills, now." The other member of management tried to defend me, but she just cut him off and followed me to the tills. On arrival she again poked me in the chest and said to me, "You stand right here. Do not move. Do not do anything else. No matter what people tell you, you will stand right here. Do you understand simple instructions?" I was livid, white knuckling on the desk I was holding. Livid, but I nodded, and she walked away. After a few minutes of complete silent rage, it struck me, if she wanted me to stand right here and do nothing, stand right here and do nothing is what I shall do. Customers came up and were served by other people because I couldn't do anything but stand right there, right. The other member of management asked me why I wasn't serving customers, and I told him that Lucifer had told me to stand right there and do nothing else, so that is what I was doing. He gave me a weird look, then smiled and said, "On your head be it." It didn't take long for Lucifer to notice I wasn't doing anything and dragged me into the manager's office to start shouting at me, asking me why I wasn't doing my job, to which I replied I didn't want to misunderstand your instructing and wanted to follow them to the letter. That didn't go down very well, and after being called every name under the sun, I received a disciplinary. One of the reasons listed was not following management instructions, which I thought was a bit silly. I followed the instructions to the letter and got sent back to work. Lucifer transferred stores after a few months, and those who I still keep in contact with still laugh about that day. A few months ago Lucifer apparently got reported to ours for bullying and has suffered a serious demotion. So karma may take its time, but it will always get you. High school forces new policy with insanely disproportionate punishments. This is my first post to this subreddit. I'm on mobile. So my senior year of high school, the administration decided that they were going to implement a new policy where every student had to wear their student ID around their necks on a lanyard at all times. About a week before school started, they sent a letter home explaining the policy, the consequences of not adhering to it, as well as a boring cheap lanyard, so there was no excuse to not have one. They also tried to make it fun by encouraging students who had the means to buy our own personal lanyards to match our style or something like that. The consequences for not having your ID around your neck was either not being let on campus until you got it, or being sent home to get it, which is unrealistic for a lot of people and results in missed school, and could get as bad as a short suspension if there were multiple infractions. After a few weeks of dealing with the cheap lanyards that broke easily and put us at risk of losing our IDs, my friends and I decided to go to the mall to get personalized lanyards. We went to a bunch of stores so my friends could get various sports or pop culture themed lanyards. Finally I asked if we could stop by the store we all know and love, with the fun inviting front half and the wild sexy back half, to see what they had to offer. As we were looking, my friend who had already gotten himself a lanyard spotted one perfect for me. It was navy blue and at first glance appeared to have white stripes or squiggles on it. Upon closer inspection it reads, "Go fuck yourself" in tiny lettering all over the lanyard. They said it could fit our style, right? I wore that lanyard around my neck every single class every single day for the rest of the year, even after my school realized that the rule was kind of dumb and the punishments were crazy, and when my college started implementing a similar policy with worse consequences my junior year, I brought out my favorite lanyard. Preschool teacher almost makes me have heat stroke. This story is about when I was in a private preschool, around 4 to 5 years old. I had a terrible teacher and her views on how to act as a teacher were very controversial. My parents told me about this since I was too young to remember most parts of it. TL. Doctor on the bottom. Now to the story. It was a hot humid summer day and all the kids had gone out for playtime. I, as a small child, did not last long in the heat. I had trouble breathing, as well as I was sweating profusely. I had asked my teacher to go inside, but instead, she just stated that I was not allowed to since this was a time for me to play outside. Instead of being your normal preschooler and complaining to the teacher, I thought that I had to listen to her, even though I was suffering, because she had a higher authority. She even gave me a timeout outside because I had complained that I couldn't handle the beautiful weather. I had been outside for more than an hour in 25+ degrees weather Celsius, 77+ Fahrenheit, and as a preschooler, that was considerably hot. I was to the point of falling unconscious due to overexhaustion, and if I had been outside for even longer, I may have gotten heat stroke. The teacher saw nothing wrong with this and continued to ignore me. Thankfully, my parents came to pick me up and saw me looking quite exhausted and dizzy. My parents took me out of the preschool as soon as the year ended and submitted a report about this teacher to the owners of the preschool program. The teacher mysteriously got replaced by another teacher later in the year, which I would assume she got fired as the pay for this type of job is very high, since it was a private preschool. This was the only teacher that my parents have hated in my entire life, and that's a huge accomplishment, since they are pretty chill about teachers and their methods. We still talk about this teacher to this day when I mention my current teachers and their questionable teaching methods. TL. Doctor teacher thinks that the immense heat is okay for a preschooler. Preschooler becomes extremely exhausted to the point of unconsciousness and heat stroke because he listens to the teacher. Parents file a report and teacher gets fired. Subscribe and like for more.